Hey there, my friends. Andy coming to you live from Orange County. It's 6:30 on a Tuesday evening. I smell some goodness cooking in the kitchen. My daughter's cooking a some type of volcano brownie concoction. She's taking a balloon and putting it inside the brownies somehow, and then she's going to fill the void with chocolate syrup. I don't know, but it sounds it sounds like it's going to be pretty amazing. Hey, when you're coming on, make sure and comment, please, and just say hi. I know there's some of you that like to watch and hide, or you're driving and can't comment, but at some point, it would be great if you could comment. I would appreciate that. Also, share and put your little emotions on there, whether you like something, you love something, you hate something. I don't care. Put something one way or another. I would really appreciate that. And then if you are so inclined, you may want to go to one of the other platforms like YouTube and make sure and subscribe there too, just in case we get taken off of Facebook, because that's coming, I am sure. I have been taken off of Facebook before, but not lately, but I know that it's coming. And so you're going to want to go to the AndyFalcoShow.com, the AndyFalcoShow.com. And then you're also going to want to go to the AndyFalcoPodcast.com. That's for the podcast that's going to take you to iHeartRadio. And then when all else fails, go to patriotcoms.org, patriotcoms.org. Now, some of the browsers are blocking it. I'm not sure if some people have some different kinds of settings that they need to reduce down the security or something. But if you can't get there just by typing in patriotcoms.org and it gives you some type of error, add the W's, do the www.patriotcoms.org. That should get you through. But even then, I think that there's been one or two people that I know that have had problems. But make sure you go on there, give us your email, and not so that we can sell it or do anything else with it, other than we want to make sure and let you know where we're going to be once we are taking off all of the Facebooks and Twitters and YouTubes and stuff like that, because the day is coming, I'm sure. So make sure and do all of those things. The AndyFalcoShow.com, that's YouTube, and then the AndyFalcoPodcast.com, that is our podcast on iHeartRadio. Hey there, Amy, nice to see you. You're watching on YouTube tonight. Thank you very much. I can tell because of the little icon there right now. We're getting more and more people following on YouTube, so that's pretty cool. Rumble at some point should have a live broadcasting option. The only problem is we will need StreamYard to connect with Rumble and do their IP shenanigans, whatever that is. They have to share some information in order for us to be able to go live on Rumble. So Rumble has to have the live option, and then StreamYard will have to then connect with Rumble and make sure we can go live on Rumble also. And then we'll throw that into the mix. Right now, all I can do is upload the recorded versions of these particular shows. All right. So what I thought I would do today is talk through some of the cornucopia of lunacy that's going on in our country. And I'm going to do this for the first time. And I've had this thought on occasion, and that is to go through my Facebook page, as long as it lasts, as long as it's up, go through the Facebook page and just kind of visit some of the posts that I put up and some of the things that go on in regard to our social media and some of the things that happen after I put up a post and some of the comments I get back. Most of them, most of the people that follow me are pretty much on the same page. They realize the Democrats are a little bit short of a full deck. See how I'm being nicer? So far, I'm trying to be nicer. I'm trying to follow Hedia's advice, and that is to be not so. It's not going to be easy. I'm going to tell you right now, it's not going to be easy for me not to name call. I know it's childish. I know that there's probably a better way of handling such things. But man, as we go through this cornucopia of lunacy, as I'm going, and that's what I'm going to call it. I think it's going to be the Tuesday's cornucopia of lunacy. I'm going to see if I can make that a regular show. But I'm going to go ahead and share my Facebook page here, and we're going to hit this one right off the bat. And this is, this is the thing that can make people crazy. Let me see if I can change my background to be more reflective of my, oops, that cuts off my head there. And so does that one. There we go. And so right there, that's one of my posts. And this has to do with, it just so happens that Pelosi seemingly made some type of trade in the stock market where she purchased a great deal of Tesla. And then the following day, Biden said that he's going to make sure that all the vehicles in the federal government are electric vehicles. Now that's hysterical. Number one, that's That on its own is hysterical. How quickly, they need to start with I said in the post, you need to start with the limousine first. And then can you imagine all of the vehicles? Can you imagine really everybody driving a electric Geo or electric Toyota, whatever those cars, I don't even know what they're called. And then they're going to buy $60,000 Teslas on the bottom end. But anyway, it just so happens that Pelosi happened to buy some stock, according to this article that I shared. But then I got this partly false information. And it's partly false. Let me open this up. When I say CY, it says that Pelosi's husband invested in Tesla, not Nancy. This is the lunacy, right? This is the crazy. This is the craziness, is that my post got the partly false, is that it's not that Nancy bought the stock. It's that her husband bought the stock. as if Nancy didn't go to her husband and say, hey, tomorrow Joe's going to Trader Joe. He's going to, make an announcement that all the federal vehicles, are going to be, of course, not mine or any of ours, but, all the other, the peons in the federal government, they're going to have to drive electric vehicles. So, do your magic and purchase. This has happened throughout her career, where she just so happens to buy stock. This is the word on the streets, by the way, in other articles that I've read, that somehow her husband seems to be able to make the right decisions on what stocks to buy based on the news that's coming out the next day. Now, anybody else does that, they get arrested for insider trading, but not Nancy. So that is the very first part of the lunacy that I wanted to visit there on my Facebook page. And it's just so, it really is, we're supposed to ignore all that. They believe, and they are correct. And I'm going to say this in a loving way. And Hedy, my love, I know that you're on right now. But I'm going to say this in a loving way. But they truly believe and know that their voters are stupid. Right. And so they can just continue this stuff and they'll never get called on the carpet by their voters. It's just that they don't really understand that conservatives are not that dumb. We are not that stupid to think that it was just because it was her husband that makes a difference. That Nancy didn't tell her husband that, hey, Joe's going to make an announcement tomorrow about making all the federal vehicles electric vehicles. So we're supposed to believe that Nancy doesn't talk to her husband and doesn't share any of that information. And yeah, I can't believe that. I mean, I can't believe that Nancy Pelosi is married either. But look at this. I mean, the reason she's married is because she keeps giving her husband stock market, insider trading information. That is, one reason why he probably loves being married to Nancy Pelosi. He gets all this great advice on when to buy certain stocks. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to go back to my Facebook page, and we will take a look here at what's up next. What's up next? Let's see. What else did I post? Trump fundraising committee raises $30.9 million at closing 2020. That's not shocking at all. I know that the left wants you to think that everything's going horribly wrong with the Republicans and conservatives, that they're divided, that they no longer, they want to separate themselves from President Trump. We all know that. The White House holds briefing after Biden signs healthcare executive orders. Although this particular video is not about that. It's about the reason I posted this, because somewhere in this Raggedy Ann's response to a question is that in there she said that he's acting morally, that he's changing the unmoral policy of President Trump. And that's the thing that got me the most, is that, when he's signing these EOs, and here is in my post, forcing girls to compete with men is moral. Ending employment for thousands of Americans and Canadians is moral. Murdering babies in the U.S. and abroad is moral. Jumping back into bed with Iran is moral. That is the part of it that when she talks about that Biden is replacing President Trump's immoral policies, I find very absurd, and it's part of the Cornucopia of Lunacy that when we look at it as far as a Christian perspective, not that all Christians are the epitome of morality. That's not what I'm trying to tell you, but the Bible is. Right? The Bible is Jesus Christ, God, the Holy Spirit. That is the epitome of morality. And if you're to compare the policies of the two people, the great President Trump and this other guy, if you were to compare that, the abortion, making little girls compete against men, causing tens of thousands of people to lose their jobs, both the United States and Canada. If you're looking, if we went down the list of the EOs, again, this is the lunacy that the Democrats want you to believe that somehow the policies, again, we're not talking about the men. Now, this is where they get all crazy, right? They go, well, Donald Trump is an immoral person because he's had several wives, he cheated his wife. That's not what we're talking about. When we're talking about the policies, which are more closely related to the morality that you would find in some aspect of the Bible, which is closer. And in many cases, the EOs are taking away certain policies that are in line with what the Bible would say is more moral or most moral. And I would say the Biden policies that are coming into place, especially when you're talking about, about abortion, of course, when you're talking about, and then you're saying, we're going to give money to other countries to also encourage women to have abortions. Again, when we're talking about morality, that's not the one thing that I would say is the thing. And so that was the main focus of that particular post. The video was entertaining, but really that was the most important part of that. So let's continue on this Cornucopia of Lunacy. And we're going to get up here to Biden is the first president to openly oppose death penalty. He can help end it. And again, I'm just going to address the issue in regard to abortion is that he's so against executions. And I mentioned this on yesterday's shows, and Hetty did a great job on our show yesterday in talking about why it's so dangerous that the government is considering using the same tools against counterterrorism as it does globally against Americans. And she did a great job. And I brought this up yesterday, but this is, when we got in the discussion of why I call Democrats morons, and I'm just repeating what I said yesterday, and that is in this case here. So no to executing a few adult psychopaths who heinously and brutally kill law-abiding adults, but yes to the execution of tens of thousands of innocent babies, and that is not even close to being logical. Right. Again, when we're talking about the Cornucopia of Lunacy, that there's no logic to that. I just don't see the logic. I don't see the logic of being against those executions, but yet you're for the execution of tens of thousands of babies, 364, 326. I forget what the number is exactly a day. These are abortions that occur in California in the 300s a day in the state of California. That you're for. But you're against the few people that get executed that are just psychopaths that are killing people and have killed multiple people, and they are happy about it. Many of them. That's the thing. You're okay. You're not okay with that, but you're okay with this. If you're against that, then you should also be against the execution of babies. That's what I'm saying. So I'm not. That is not. I don't want to have a discussion about whether executions are moral, or whether we should have those or not. That's not what I'm saying at all in this post, because I know that some people could have that argument that, well, you're saying it's okay to execute people. One way or another, it doesn't matter. But if you're going to say it's not okay to execute an adult man who kills people, then it obviously cannot be okay to kill babies. Right. Again, when we're talking about the craziness, I want to talk about one other thing that comes up, and I'm not sure if it comes up here. Let me go ahead and scroll up. I don't want to wait too long to hit this particular subject matter, but this happens to do with masks, and I can't remember where I talked about this, but it was either before or after, and I didn't see it before I came on here, so I don't want to wait. But when it comes to the subject of wearing masks during the pandemic, I cannot wait until this is over. We have all the science in the studies that were done in 2016 in regard to masks, and then the reason I go there is because we weren't dealing with a bunch of lunatics who decided that we're going to make a bunch of Americans wear masks. And now when you're trying to argue against masks, all you're hearing is you're going to kill people. And don't you understand? And don't you see the positive on this thing? But there was a study done in 2016, several studies, and we could go back and look at them if they've not all been taken down as far as a Google search is concerned, where they said masks don't work in regard to protecting anybody walking around, standing next to somebody, shopping next to somebody, playing hockey again, next to somebody. That wearing masks, it really does nothing to protect one person from the next. According to that study that was done in 2016, several months ago, maybe 5 months ago, I did a show on that study in particular. But that's not what I want to bring up. And so I do want to bring it up, but I want to bring up this other issue. And that is, when it comes to masks, the pandemic, hydroxychloroquine, when it comes to the vaccines, all you're hearing is about this horrible job that President Trump did while he was in office that he did nothing. I mean, that really is their speaking point when you're listening to CNN or MSNBC or any one of the other ones, is that he simply did nothing. That nothing happened, that it was a complete, and then you're hearing Biden now say he came in and there was nothing done. Like we had to invent stuff. We had to start all over again. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Okay, let's just say, okay, now, so let's just say that maybe it's not true. Of course, we know it's not true, but let's just say that it were true. Let's just say that when he comes in, that there's just papers all over the floor in the office for the CDC and the pandemic office. There's papers everywhere, that there's party hats everywhere and drinks and punch bowls empty, and it's just like people have been partying. They've been doing nothing. Right. There's the thing on the ground where they putt, the golf ball goes into the cup. Right. That's the only thing they have in the office. Like nothing's done. Like it says pandemic, and it has like 1 or 1A, and then nothing's written. Like nothing after that. There's no plan. let's just say. And the people in that office are Fauci and a number of other people. Right. So let's just pretend for one moment that is the case. So if that's the case, would you then, in the new administration, hire the same people? I mean, again, if you're Democrats, you're thinking the people are too stupid that voted for us because they're stupid enough to vote for us. They're obviously stupid enough to fall for this, and so they won't even notice. They won't even notice that we're hiring the same people we're saying that did nothing for the last 6 months. We're just gonna, or whatever it is, 9 months, whatever it's been. We're gonna just go ahead and hire the same people that we have also said are horrible people and have done nothing. Okay, and so let me share with you a couple of videos. Now that's funny. Let me share you a couple of videos of Fauci, and this is just going to share with you, and also I can look at President Trump. So why did you keep this guy? Is what I want to ask President. If I ever get the chance to talk to Donald, I want to say, so why did you keep Fauci around? Was it that because people were going to go so crazy if you fired him? And I could see that. I could see that if he fired Fauci, that people just would have went nuts on the left. Like it would have been crazy, but would have been much more crazy than they are now. I don't know. But here is Fauci at the beginning of the pandemic. Let's watch what he has to say here. You ready for this? Well, listen to this.
Right now in the United States, people should not be walking around with masks.
You're sure of it? Because people are listening really closely to this.
Right now, people should not be walking. There's no reason to be walking around with a mask. When you're in the middle of an outbreak, wearing a mask might make people feel a little bit better, and it might even block a droplet, but it's not providing the perfect protection that people think that it is. And often, there are unintended consequences. People keep fiddling with the mask and they keep touching their face.
All right, let's look at what he had to say a few days ago. Apparently, he now thinks we should be wearing 2 masks. So this is a very short one. It happens very fast, but listen to this.
So if you have a physical covering with one layer, you put another layer on, it just makes common sense.
He goes on to say, it makes common sense to wear another mask. So he went from you should not be wearing a mask, that it just makes people feel better, that it really doesn't provide you any protection, to wearing two masks. All right, that was just a couple of days. Now let's, you ready for this? This is what he's now saying. Are you ready? Here you go. Here's another one.
Many people who feel, if you really want to have an extra little bit of protection, maybe I should put two masks on. There's nothing wrong with that, but there's no data that indicates that is going to make a difference. And that's the reason why the CDC has not changed the recommendation.
So he went from don't wear a mask because it's stupid, which I agree. I agree with that, Fauci. The next Fauci comes on and says we should be wearing two masks. And then the next Fauci says, we don't need two masks. It's stupid. But the second one, he said, it's common sense. It's common sense. It's common sense to wear two masks. And the next one, we don't need to wear two masks. Whoa, this is the guy. This is the guy that Biden put into place. This is the guy that's running this whole thing. It's just such wackiness. This is so crazy. Let me see what Amy has to say here. What I saw, those fools wearing two masks as at the inauguration. I knew that would be the next ignorant thing they would try to force on us. Absolutely. Well, I'm glad you're here, whether you're late or not. I'm just glad you're here, Priscilla. Next, he'll be recommending that we wear a plastic bag over our head. That is absolutely where they're going with this whole thing. Let me get into a couple more. I'm gonna try to keep this short. I know that I always say that, and I always find myself. I had a thing about the dark side of green energy and its threat to the nation's environment. Again, these people really do believe that that the electric cars and the solar panels and the windmills are the solution, but you'll never find a wealthy person, okaying the land where they move on these hills where the wind is probably most effective for fans or for the windmill, whatever it is, whatever we call those things. But they'll block, right? The wealthy people will block that in Malibu, right? The Malibu probably has a pretty good wind source coming off the ocean and the mountains there like that. But you'll never see the fans there. You'll never see the mountainside covered with the solar panels as it face west. Before the strong force of the sun. They want it, but they don't want it where they're at. But they're also not understanding that what are we going to do with all the batteries once we start having as many cars as we have on the road with those batteries, and as they are beginning to go bad and replacing those batteries, where are we going to get the resources to create more batteries? And what are we going to do with the batteries that are no longer good? That's going to cause a whole bunch of other environmental issues that they don't think about. I've listened to a bunch of experts speak on that issue, and they say that they're barking up the wrong tree, and that no pun intended. But the environmentalists are trying to sell you a bill of goods, is what they're doing. And then when you hear that, when Biden's talking about, well, not Biden. Who was it that was talking about the other day? What's his name? There's another moron who's talking about, well, the people that lost, the tens of thousands of people that lost their jobs with the Keystone oil, debacle that they stopped. They can just start making solar panels. All those people. Okay, you're an idiot. All right, so oh gosh darn, I was trying to be so good. So let's go. I want to visit this one right here. This is an important one to visit, and this is this dimwit right here, and this is one of the craziest lunatics that we have on the planet. I mean, you could look at Gavin Newsom, you could look at Andrew Cuomo, and what's his name, the mayor of New York, de Blasio. And surely there's a couple other, the mayor of Portland and Seattle, those lunatics. But this one right here, this Lightfoot is really, really kind of crazy, a new kind of crazy. And I just don't know. I don't know what to say about that particular lunatic. But when we look at her and the issues in regard to what people are saying, Black Lives Matter is all about, which it's not, right? When we hear BLM or Black Lives Matter, none of what the people that don't know what they're talking about say about Black Lives Matter has nothing to do with Black Lives Matter, the organization, is doing. So you have a faction of people who are fooled into believing that Black Lives Matter has to do with Black people and improving the conditions in lower income Black communities. You would think that an organization called Black Lives Matter has something to do with that. And you would think that a mayor like Lightfoot, who is in the middle of one of the most dangerous cities that has one of the highest murder rates, would also understand about something needs to happen in regard to that community, would know better than what it is she's doing. And I'm hoping this is making sense, that you have a person who's in charge that has been voted in. Hey, we want you to improve the conditions in our lower income Black community. So we're going to vote for you. But when she comes in, if you don't know any of this, what she did when she came in is she stopped many of the Black programs and closed many of the mental health locations that were, providing psychiatric or psychology or, counseling for those people that were either suffering from mental health issues in the Black community or coming out of prison situations that needed, some type of, counseling to get back into, living within a community and not being a criminal. One of the first things she did was end all those programs. So you're thinking, well, then she must have had a better plan. No. No, she didn't have a better plan. Then you have billions of dollars, millions of dollars, if not billions of dollars. I believe it's in the billions of dollars being donated to Black Lives Matter now. You would think she would go, hey, Black Lives Matter, we need money to help with these things that I had to close down because maybe we couldn't afford them. So maybe the money that you're taking in, maybe you could use that to help us bring some of those systems back and some of the programs back that will help the Black community, help them become better citizens, help fathers who, birth fathers, be fathers. In other words, helping fathers be a part of their children's lives, a positive influence on their children. Maybe somehow the money that is raised by Black Lives Matter could be used in programs to help men who have, caused the birth of a child. I'm not sure how to put it because they're not being fathers, right? That's one of the biggest problems is that the fatherless problem in these lower income Black communities is one of the reasons why the murder rate is high. The reason why most men end up in jail is because they lack a father, a positive influence from a father. One of the other problems is illiteracy, right? Is that you have this issue with illiteracy that is the other issue. So you have illiteracy and the lack of a good father in a child's life. Those two things are the leading reason that men end up growing up and children end up growing up to be criminals and ended up in juvenile hall and prison. That you would think that you would see some improvement in these areas. No. The answer is no. The answer is no. So the one thing that she does is she forbids the schools open. She joins with the school unions in there in the beginning of it, and the schools shut down. Shut down all the schools. Don't find a way for these schools to open. Don't work with in any way, any fashion. Trump's saying open up the schools. He's saying no, we're not open. Trump's saying open up the schools while he's president, and she's saying no. She's saying no, knowing that illiteracy is one of the reasons why most children turn to crime. Right, and then the men grow up to be horrible fathers because they lack education and they grow up to be criminals and so on and so forth. And the cycle continues. Her knowing, she knows this. No idiot. There's not a moron who's that doesn't know that illiteracy and fatherlessness is one of the reasons why children grow up to be criminals. And here she is in a position of leadership when President Trump is president saying, open up the schools, Democratic-run cities. And she's one of the many Democratic-run cities that says, no, we're not opening the schools. It's too dangerous. And there's nothing that shows that it's too dangerous to open up schools. In other countries, they've opened the schools and it's been fine. Children don't have to suffer from the same issues in regard to COVID-19. They don't. They seem to be a block. That's what some of the studies have said, that once they get it, that stops with them and that usually doesn't get passed on. And so all the issues they were saying is the reason why they weren't opening the schools is why she was saying that they can't open the schools. Yet Private schools from the wealthy were able to open. We know that all the wealthy people that lived in Chicago and Los Angeles and Seattle and Oregon and Minneapolis and New York, they were sending their kids to private school because private schools are open. And some of them were even religious based, Jewish. They would never stop a Muslim or Islamic. I'm not sure which way to go with this. Hedy, help me out. A Muslim synagogue or whatever you call it. I'm not sure what you call it, from opening up and opening their schools. They would never stop that because that would be racist, of course. They would not stop then. So you have these other people that are more than welcome to open up their schools and send their kids to schools and get private tutors because they can afford it. But the lower income, what are they going to do? They can't work. They can't send their children to school. There's nothing. What are they going to do? Now they can't work. But during the Trump's presidency, she was so, I'm not opening the schools. I'm not opening them up, no matter what. A mosque. Oh, good. And so, thank you, Hedy. So they would never stop a mosque from opening up their schools and sending their kids to schools or sending them to studies. And again, but she was not going to open them up. So now Biden becomes president. Now she wants to open the schools, and now she's screwed herself because now the school unions in Chicago are saying, we're not opening up. We want more money. Right. They're off the same playbook. And now she's going, wait a minute. I'm the mayor. I want you to open up now that Biden's president. And now the school boards are going, but no, we want more money. We want more money. We want you to defund the cops. We want you to do none of what they're asking as far as the teachers unions in LA or Chicago or anywhere else are the conditions have nothing to do with the children and their education, but it has to do with power. It has to do with more money, and it has nothing to do with the community at large. So now, again, she's screwing herself because she spent all this time denying the schools opening up because she wouldn't open up because Trump was president, but now Biden's president. Now she wants to open up, and now the school union is saying no. Oh, that is the cornucopia of lunacy that we're dealing with on this planet. Let me look at one more thing before I go. There's our show from yesterday. Hedy, you did such a great job. I'm so proud of you. We have the 21 men accused Lincoln Project, the co-founder, who is a never Trumper, right? And this is the thing. You got these. You got the Democrats, saying, Trump's going to start a war. As soon as it becomes back in 2016, as soon as it becomes ready, it's going to start wars. We're going to be in these never end. It's going to be the worst wars ever because of. We didn't go to war. As a matter of fact, he's one of the first presidents in modern times not to send us to war. And as a matter of fact, he got us out of wars. As a matter of fact, he got. And this is it's taken away. BLM got the Nobel Peace Prize nomination. So it kind of takes away from what I'm about to say. That's what I was kind of struggling to say is he got 3 or 4 Nobel Peace Prize nominations. But really, when BLM is getting a nomination for the Nobel Peace Prize, it takes away everything that means. So, but anyway, just on the issue of that he brought peace to the Middle East and many issues just prior to leaving his office, and so it's just the opposite, right? Everything's just the opposite. And then when we're talking about what he said about him being immoral and sleeping with other women and all that kind of stuff, and that he's a horrible, nasty person, and then here you have the never Trumpers, the 21 men accused Lincoln Project co-founder of online harassment and sexual harassment. In many cases. It's always the case. Let me go on. Let me see what else we have here. We got New York Dems block subpoena for nursing home records. Of course they did. Of course they don't want you to find out how horribly Andrew Cuomo did in sending COVID infected patients back into the nursing homes. Of course, because he just wrote a book on leadership. And he just got the Emmy Award for his leadership during the COVID. But in the meantime, he killed tens of thousands, but thousands of elderly folks because he sent COVID-19 infected people into the nursing homes. Tulsi Gabbard, Lockerman are undermining the foundation of our country. She kind of. I believe in this particular article or this video, she discussed much of what Hedy discussed last night, that they're using these counterterrorism tools against Americans, which is very dangerous. The Anatomy of a Cover-Up. And I know I'm not screen. Let me go ahead and share my screen again, just so you can see what I'm looking at. Anatomy of a Cover-Up. Media outlets. Barry Cuomo nursing home report. Censor the guest that was on PBS. That's another one. Let me just go through some of this other stuff. That was from the day's daily devotional. Oh, by the way, we have a page dedicated to the daily devotional. So go to today's daily devotional prayer. And you just go to @today's daily devotional prayer, and you'll find our new business page on that thing. A sad thing happened today where 2 FBI agents were shot and killed, serving a warrant on a sexual predator. And I don't know enough about that story. I need to follow up with that and learn some more about that. That is just it's. There's so much I could say about it. Just have their family in their prayers. I think one of them was a mother of 2 children who was shot and killed as she was serving a search warrant on that sexual predator. So CNN and MSNBC see ratings plunge as networks no longer have Trump to cover. Now they keep trying to cover Trump. I mean, when I've watched at a friend of mine's house. I'm gonna keep just saying that. That's the best way of putting it. A friend of mine's house that I was there for 3 hours, and all you could see on the closed captioning or the subtitles is that they're talking about Trump for 3 hours. They talked about Trump, and this is just the other day. Did they not know that Biden's the president? Did they not know that administration is in charge right now? Isn't there enough going on with all those EOs that he's signing? Is there enough to talk about? They're still talking about President Trump. That's all they talked about the entire time. And so they're really trying to hang on to Trump because they know that now that he's gone, their ratings are falling and they're crashing hard. And now, they got to learn, hey, they got to find something else to talk about. They need to start attacking Biden. Maybe the ratings will come back up. Maybe that's possible. And I'm going to end on this one last one. And it's going to be, unfortunately, a sad one. And let me see what happens when I click on it before I bring it back up. Before I bring it up.
We can't have a baby.
Yeah.
If you don't take this plan,
Sorry. I'm going to take it back to the beginning. This is really, just really crazy. It's just so crazy what I'm about to show you. And this is the last thing. And it's kind of a downer, but I don't know how I could turn around and make it good. I can't, or make it funny. There's nothing I can do about this, but I do want you to see the problem that we have in our country right now and why I believe the devotional that Hetty and I do in the morning is important, and for us to spread the gospel of Jesus Christ. That because of what I'm about to show you, we are going down a very dark path. It is not just the Democrats doing some really crazy things. We really have some darkness in our world, and it is huge, and it's a huge problem. So I'm going to share this with you, and it's not funny. It's nothing. It's nothing but horrific. And so I'm just going to share a little bit of it. Some of you have seen it on my page, but I'm going to share it with you just for 1 second. And that is this TikTok video of parents throwing their babies off camera and then twerking to an abortion song and laughing about it. And it's really kind of crazy. Let's watch just a little bit of it. And I'm so sorry, but it's important.
B, we can't have a baby. If you don't take this plan B, plan C. Cause it ain't your face, baby. Ooh, throw that to the base, baby. Say, no, baby, we can't have a baby. If you don't take this plan B, plan C. Cause it ain't your face, baby. Ooh, throw that to the base, baby. No, baby, we can't have a baby. If you don't take this plan B, plan C. Cause it ain't your face, baby. Ooh, throw that. We can't have a baby. If you don't take this plan B, plan C. Cause it ain't your face, baby. Ooh, throw that to the base, baby. Say, no, baby, we can't have a baby. If you don't take this plan B, plan C. Cause it ain't your face, baby. Ooh, throw that to the base, baby. Baby, we can't have a baby. If you don't take this plan B, just plan C. Cause it ain't your face, baby. Ooh, throw that to the base, baby.
And I know, I'm so sorry, but I felt it is my duty to share a lot with you, to share this, to share a horrible thing. I mean, this is happening in our country. Right. So we see what's happening, and all the stuff that I talked about earlier, when we see the lies, when we see the deception, when we see social media, when we see media lying to us on a daily basis and pretending that they are somehow unifiers, that somehow that it's okay for abortions to be so prolific in the Black community. So that is where they started. Right, the founder of Planned Parenthood began Planned Parenthood in the Black communities. And as this continues on, and as we continue to be lied to, as we continue to have the media lie to the vulnerable, the weak-minded, the people that seem to continue to keep buying into this lie that America is the most racist country on the planet, that Republicans are the most racist people in our country, that we are somehow terrorists and killers. This is what leads to this kind of stuff. And if we don't get a handle on this, if we don't start to make some changes, then I'm really afraid for our country. I'm afraid for our children. I don't know. I don't know where to start. I know that on some level we need to start with our school board, and this is one of my repeated themes of many of my shows, that I have been. Pastor Jack Hibbs at Calvary Chapel, Chino Hills, and Charlie Kirk are one of the first people that really, suggested that, starting in the school board, starting locally is a really important thing. And I'm buying into it. I'm not buying into it because I'm so blinded by my admiration for Pastor Jack. I am a free thinking person, much like Hedia, is that we can look at something and really be discerning that, maybe that's not for us or not. But I am convinced that they are so right, that we need to start locally. We need to start with our next door neighbors. We need to start with our local public schools, and that we make sure that the information that they are getting fed into them on a daily basis is one of morality and one of truth about our country, one about not about the sex education that we're being told is going to be brought into California, that is currently available to the schools and should be teaching, is wrong. Again, being taught that our country is a racist country, that we need to really be focused as a community, whether we have children in the school or not, starting with our school board. And really paying attention to what's happening. And then again, on some level, the churches need to be opened up, and we need to be getting out into our public and sharing more of what Jesus Christ has to say and what the Bible has to say, because what I just showed you is disturbing. And here is the thing, that you can share that on social media. I can share that. It doesn't get blocked. Nothing happens with that. Right? It gets freely shared on TikTok. I'm sure it gets freely shared on Twitter. Nothing happens with that. That gets shown and people look at it and say, hey, I want to make one of those videos. None of that ever gets blocked or censored. Right? But truth gets blocked and censored. Hydroxychloroquine, which actually is a preventative that has been proven through science, not by Andy Falco Jimenez, not by Hedia Maramati, not by anybody else, but through doctors saying, you know what, we've seen some positive outcomes of hydroxychloroquine, but that gets blocked. That gets censored and gets taken off. People get taken off. Platforms get taken off, but not that TikTok that I just showed you. I could freely share that with you, and it'll still be there. No, Facebook won't take me off for that, but they'll take me off because I talk about the election. They'll take me off because I talk about hydroxychloroquine. They'll take me off because I talk about peacefully and patriotically protesting the election. That will cause me to get taken off, but not that video I just showed you. That I could share everywhere. And that's okay. And people can replicate it and make their own videos and laugh about it and think it's so funny to throw your child aside and celebrate abortion with the abortion song. That's okay. That will not be blocked. And so that's why I want to end on that. I know that I'd love to more often than not, I like to finish on a positive note, something that'll make you laugh. But I want to finish today with something that will cause you to take action. That is not right. It is not right that I can share that with you. It is not right that that's okay, that it doesn't get blocked, that it doesn't cause me to get taken off of platforms. But the truth, facts, and science does get you taken off of a platform. That's the problem that we're dealing with today. And so that's what I want to end with, and that's what I want to share with you. The cornucopia of lunacy is real. We are living in a very shockingly disturbing country right now that the conservative Christians need to get off their asses and begin to speak up and begin to vote people out. These Republicans that are not understanding what Americans want, what middle Americans want, what the working class wants, then they're not doing it. We need to vote them out, and we need to get our country back. All right, my friends, I love you guys. I know there was a lot of comments that I saw on there. I would share those. I want to leave it because I will get distracted and go on some tangents. I saw Hedy wrote probably a really awesome, you know what? I can't do it. I can't leave it. Unfortunately, TikTok cancel babies movement started with toy babies getting run over, etc. And those videos demonstrate how it escalates into something so horrific. It is. So, all right. And one more thing. Be careful. You just said so many bad words: patriotic, election, conservative, Christian, and Trump. I know. Thank you, Carl. That I'm going to take a little screenshot. That is so true. All right, my friends. I love you guys. God bless you. Please help us in this effort to save our country. Don't be silent. Vote people out. Pay attention to what's going on in the school board. And let's take our country back. All right, my friends. I love you. God bless. Take care.